Hey everyone, Dave at Tombstone Tech, and in this episode we're going to build the growling kitty prop. Now what you will need to build the growling kitty prop are a few things. You're going to need some black zip ties and a hot melt glue gun, a couple of tools for like trimming the zip ties, and some scissors, and probably good to have some sort of a box cutter. You are also going to need a DC motor with a power supply. Now this one came out of another prop. Originally this motor was salvaged from an old video cassette recorder, and I had this in another prop, and then I decided not to use that prop anymore, but I saved the motor with the power supply. This particular motor has a little pulley on the axle, and that is going to be useful later, and you'll see why. Now you're also going to need something like this. Now this is a core from a roll of duct tape, but you're going to need something. It could be PVC pipe or something like that you're going to mount this motor in, and the reason for mounting it in here will become obvious. You're also going to need a couple of other things. You're going to need a piece of styrofoam or a small chunk of wood, just something that you can use to offset the motor a bit. I'll explain as I go along. And you'll need something with a little bit of weight. Now you could use a fishing sinker, or you could use a big nut from a nut and bolt set. I'm using a cable clamp that I just happen to have laying around. No particular reason that I'm using this, it's just what I had. Now the other thing that you will obviously need is a black kitty. Perhaps one like this. What do you think, Max? You want to be a Halloween prop? Max? Meow? You want to be a prop? Meow? I'm going to put this motor in you, right about there. Okay, I guess not. But fortunately, I have an alternate black cat. And I guess we'll make the prop out of this because Max did not want to play along. Now there's a little bit of a story here about the growling kitty prop. I made one of these before many years ago when I lived in California, and my hunt partner at that time said, when I made the black cat prop, my hunt partner said, "That's stupid, no one's gonna see that, it's dumb, don't do it, blah 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 blah." Well, I put it in the haunt anyway, and it was a big hit. Everyone came up and was like, "Oh, I really like the growling kitty, it's really neat." So, haha, I win. Let's go ahead and make the growling black kitty. Now, the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to take our motor, and hopefully our motor has a pulley on it like this one does, because that's going to be very useful. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to make this kitty kind of do that. And then later with a speaker, we'll add a sound effect of the cat going meow, 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 growling. But in order to make it shake like that, we're going to turn this motor into a kind of a vibration inducing device. And the way that we're going to do that is we are going to take some zip ties, and we're going to tie them onto this pulley on the shaft of the motor, and we're going to want to get them on there reasonably tight, just like that, or just like that. And I'm also going to trim off the excess zip tie. And what we're doing is we're going to use these zip ties to create what's called an eccentric weight. Now, an eccentric weight, it basically means that the weight is off center. And when it spins, it'll be unbalanced. Now, usually, you know, when you have a motor spinning along at high speed, you want it to be balanced so that it doesn't wiggle and shake. But in this case, wiggling and shaking is precisely what we want. So I have found, you know, your experience may be different, but I have found that about 3 zip ties is a good amount. So that's what I'm going to put on here. Here's zip tie number 3. And as you're putting these on here, you want to be careful that they don't interfere with the rotation of the shaft, obviously, because you want that shaft to be able to spin. So okay, there we go. We have our 3 zip ties on there. And as you can see, they can spin freely. So if you look at it from this angle, put it in front of my shirt so you can see it better, I've kind of created like a little platform here, and that's where we're going to put our weight. So you see right now, if I plug the motor in, it's vibrating some, but it really needs a little extra weight to make it vibrate to the degree that we want to vibrate to. So with that on there, I'm going to take this hot glue gun, which is a recent acquisition, and I really like it because it has a tiny little nozzle on it, so you can get a very fine line of hot melt glue. And one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put some hot melt glue into the folds and nooks and crannies of this glob of zip ties that I have on there, because one, it'll add a little bit of weight, but the other thing it'll do is it'll actually help it to stay on there. So just like that, and we'll let that cool. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a pretty good glob of hot melt glue on here, like so. And I'm going to put this weight on there. And again, this weight can be anything. It can be a nut, it can be a fishing weight. If you have fishing weights around, I do because I fish. And we're going to put that on there, and we're going to wipe off the excess glue. And that looks like it should be on there pretty good. I'm going to put a little glue through this hole in the top just to give it a little extra something to hang on to. That's good. All right. Now, while that is cooling, let's talk about what we're going to use this thing for. Now what we're going to do is we're going to mount this motor in here, and we're going to mount it on this piece of styrofoam to get it away from the walls of this cylinder. The reason you need that is because if you look at this motor, the stuff that we've added onto this motor now goes outside the diameter of the motor. So if you mounted it right up against the wall, it's going to hit that wall like that. So you got to have something to offset it. I'm using a piece of styrofoam because it's just what I happen to have handy. You could use a piece of wood, a piece of plastic, just about anything. And to satisfy my OCD a little bit, I should use the hot wire cutter I just made for this, but I'm just going to quickly trim this down to the size I think it should be. There we go. Just make it a little more of a rectangle and not a big weird lumpy thing. I suppose the other thing I could do if I really wanted to is I could cut the styrofoam to kind of match the shape of the motor. In fact, you know what? That's really not a bad idea. I'm going to try to do that. There we go. Doesn't have to be dead solid perfect, but okay, so now you can see it kind of cradles the motor a little bit better, and that might actually help to keep it on there. But no matter, because we're actually going to mount it with zip ties. So yes, you're going to put this motor inside the kitty, and to put it inside the kitty, sorry kitty, but we got to do a little surgery here. So I'm going to take my box cutter and I'm just going to slit this outer covering a bit, just like that. And the last time I made one of these, I had a much better black cat prop because its back was arched and it was all really aggressive looking. This one, not quite as aggressive looking, but I think it'll still work. Also, the last time I made one of these, the stuffing in this prop was foam rubber, which is a lot easier to work with, and I didn't really need this. But this one, as you can see, is full of this fiber fill stuff. It's like very coarse cotton. And I don't know, it's probably polyester or something, I don't know. But we're gonna scoop enough of this fiber fill out, and don't get rid of it, by the way. Just put it aside because you might want to use it. You might want to put some back in later. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling out just enough of this fiber that I can kind of create this hollow space in there where this thing is going to go. And the reason that we're going to use this thing is that this fiber stuff, it's hairy, it gets everywhere. If you put the motor in there where it can touch this fiber, it's just going to wrap around the motor like cotton candy, and well, we don't want that. Okay, so the kitty now has a place for the motor to go. Now we're going to take this, and this is glued on here pretty good now. I'm going to plug it in, and now you can see that's a wobbling. That's got a nice wobble to it. And when we mount the motor in the cat, the motor is going to be, the shaft of the motor is going to be perpendicular to the way it's shaped. So with the motor this way, it's going to shake like this. And if you mount the motor in the cat in that direction, that means the cat will shake like this. If you were to put it in this way with the shaft horizontal, then the cat would tend to do that. But what you really want it to do is you want it to be like this, so that it kind of shakes more. I think if it shakes like that, that just looks weird. I think that would look better. And you can see this is why you want to hold on to the fiber fill, because I've taken so much of the fiber fill out that now the cat is getting kind of floppy and weird. I might need to stuff a little more fiber fill down into this leg to firm it up a bit. But there you go. We just want him to kind of rock on his haunches, sort of like that. All right, so we have our motor with the weight on it. By the way, this is essentially what's in your cell phone that makes it vibrate. It's the same thing. It's a little tiny motor with a little tiny weight, and it just sends a little pulse to it to make it, you know, go zzz in your hand. It's the same thing. It's a vibration motor. So now what we are going to do is probably unnecessary, in that I'm going to put some glue on this piece of styrofoam that I'm using to stand them, to use as a standoff for the motor. There we go. Bunch of glue, and I'm just gonna set the motor right in its little cradle like that. Give it a minute to let it adhere. And then what we're going to do with this thing is, I've already done it, but you're going to punch a couple of small holes in it, and you want to make sure that the motor and its mount will fit in between those holes. I don't know a good way to show you this, but when I put this motor on here, there's a hole here and a hole here, and the reason that we do that is that we are going to use a zip tie to securely mount the motor. So I'm going to just put the zip tie through here and leave a big loop of the zip tie inside. Then we're going to put the motor in there. Oh, wait a minute, before I do that, I'll just do that. Okay. So now we're going to put the motor on its little standoff in there inside the loop. Get in there between the pieces of the zip tie, and then we're going to zip it down, being careful not to zip my finger into this thing. Okay, so now we have the motor in its little cylinder thing, whatever you want to call it. It's housing, I suppose. So that's in there, and then when we plug it in, blah, 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 blah. See that? That's really vibrating. It's actually strobing nicely in the camera. Okay, so now, words that I never thought would pass my lips on this channel, we're going to insert this into the cat. But what we want to do is we want to get all this fiber fill out of the way as much as possible. And we're just going to put that in there, and I'm kind of just making sure the fiber fill isn't inside the little cylinder. And you can see now it's in there, and there's no fiber fill near it. And at this point, you might take some of that fiber fill that you put aside and put it around the motor housing, because for one thing, it helps to kind of fill the cat out a bit and make it so that it doesn't look like it's been sliced open and it's stuffing pulled out of it. The other reason to do this is that the more tightly packed this motor and housing is inside the cat, the more the vibrating energy from that motor will be translated or transmitted, or however you want to put it. The more of that vibration will be put into the body of the cat. So I'm just gonna stuff that in there. Okay, now you could glue this incision closed if you wanted to, but I'm just going to leave it open, because if for some reason that motor fails or the weight comes off of it or something, it'll just be easier to get back in there. So now we have the cat. We're gonna plug the cat in and see what he does. Yeah, he vibrates. Now, I mean, you'll have to hide the wire, of course, but with a cat like that, and if you put a speaker near the cat with a sound effect of and all that, you now have the vibrating angry kitty. And one thing that's cool about this, I may retouch the eyes a little bit, but those eyes definitely look like they're supposed to glow in the dark, so I might put an ultraviolet LED spotlight where it can hit the eyes and make them glow really good. So there we have the vibrating angry kitty. The angry kitty, I think is what we'll call it. But there he is, and he looks scared or upset. But and I know it's a dumb little prop, but it was so popular when I put it in my hunt out in California that I had to make it again. I wanted to share how to make it with you. So there he is. Good kitty, good kitty. And that's it. So that's another cheap creep. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe and share the videos. I'm really trying to get my watch hours up. And if you're doing that, if you're liking and sharing and subscribing, that helps me to be able to make more of these videos. So there you are, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.